I want to make a few comments and then take some questions. Obviously, the clock is ticking. This second extraordinary session will adjourn no later than midnight on the 23rd. And I want to reiterate to you that my position has not changed. I am as committed today as I was on the first day of this special session to fully fund the TOPS program, K through 12 education, higher education, and our critical health care services, as other essential needs for the state of Louisiana as well. The decision of whether or not we're going to be able to do that at this point rests with the legislature, particularly those members in the House of Representatives who have consistently said they're against additional new revenue, but yet refuse to endorse a set of spending cuts that would obviously be required in the absence of revenue. Those same legislators who refuse to offer their own plan are somehow hoping that money is just going to show up. And while everyone should be hopeful, I learned a long time ago that hoping is not really a course of action. And if the news from the state's economist is any indication, we're in no way out of the woods. The hole is likely deeper than we thought it to be. So I've offered plan after plan to help solve this crisis, but the truth is I can't be both quarterback and receiver. I can't offer the solution and vote for it as well. It's up to the legislature to continue to do their work and offer the solutions of their own or endorse those that I've given them. And there is time, and certainly I am not despondent. We are continuing to work. We are having conversations with leadership of the House and the Senate, Republican and Democrat alike, to work our way through this situation. But we can't take our cues from special interest groups who only push to maintain the status quo. The status quo is not working. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in the situation where we are. And I do want to thank all of those members of the House and the Senate who are working in good faith and offering constructive ideas. One of those is Senator Rick Ward. I have reviewed his bill. I believe it comes at a critical time in this session, and that it's time that we evaluate our real priorities, especially when it comes to spending. And the news from the state economist yesterday only reiterates that concern for me and demonstrates why it's so important right now that we be willing to consider such instruments as Rick Ward's SB 10. It concerns tax expenditures, and one of which obviously is the ITEP program. The other is the inventory tax credit. Both are ad valorem tax expenditures, and it simply says that if you're a manufacturer, you're going to have to choose between the two. You can't get both. It seems to me like ending double dipping right now is a prudent thing to do. And so we're working around the clock to fill that remaining $600 million budget hole. And by the way, the sense of urgency ought to be increasing every day. 2 weeks from today, we will be in that new fiscal year. And we're having more difficulty than I think we should convincing some members of the legislature, especially in the House, that we have to do more than we've done thus far to address this budget hole. And now, as I mentioned to you earlier, we got some information from the state economist yesterday. I saw a communication from him, and we likely have an additional $200 million hole in the current year in terms of the revenue that we can expect to come in that's attributable to the current year, which, as you know, next fiscal year after we make our state debt payments, we then have to close out whatever that deficit is. And when we do that, that then obviously creates a larger hole next year than we currently are anticipating by the same amount, so that $200 million or so. So it's time that everyone take a close look at Senate Bill 10, take it seriously, and I would encourage the folks in the legislature to support that bill. I suspect that the previous administration would not have disclosed the likely $200 million shortfall in the way that we did last night in a meeting with leadership from the House and the Senate. But I think it's important that we all have the benefit of the best information available while we have time to allow that information to influence our decision-making in this session. And certainly I don't want anyone to be able to say that they were surprised with information that was available to us but not available to them. Because the days of kicking the can down the road are over. We are going to be transparent and public about what we're doing, and we're going to offer real solutions to stabilize our budget now. So I will continue to meet with legislators day and night. I'm going to continue to work to make sure that we do more adequately, if not fully, and hopefully fully, fund TOPS and other critical health care services, higher education needs, K through 12 needs, and other needs in state government. So 2 weeks from today, in 14 days, any deficits from this year or next which the legislature refuses to address will begin to take effect in the form of real cuts. And the people are certainly going to feel it. Their constituents will feel it. And by the way, their constituents are mine. The people of Louisiana are going to feel that pinch. So I'm calling on the folks of Louisiana legislature to continue to work in good faith. And let's close out this session by doing better than we've done thus far so that we can more adequately respond to their needs in the coming year.